Hey everybody, Stu Smith here going live. Hope you are doing well today and had a nice long weekend. Going live over here at Merry Post Christmas and getting ready for the new year. So this is what I want to talk about today before we take some questions is I just wrote an article. It's going to go up on military.com and it talks about some of the things that you can do this week to just get started on something new, right? Maybe not wait to the new year, but this is one of those weeks where there's not a lot of conflict going on unless you are traveling in another state, visiting family. Then you got some other things you got to do, but usually there's a lot of downtime. And if you can find some downtime, here's some things that I would recommend trying to do this week. One, get more sleep. Number one recovery tool is sleeping. And if you can start working this week on getting 7, maybe 8 hours of sleep each night, 1, you're gonna feel better. 2, you might be able to take that habit into the new year. Next thing you know, your workouts are better, you're feeling better, you're more alert, just everything's working a whole lot better. So, sleep is number 1. Number 2 is get moving again. If you've not done anything in a while, this is a great week to just start doing something. I don't care what it is. It can be anything. It can be going back to the gym. If you're a gym rat, it could be just walking around the block a couple of times. Just get moving, right? Don't sit on your butt all day watching football bowl games that typically aren't good anyway. And just get moving. It could be yard work too. Rearrange the furniture in your house. Do something. Just get moving. Number three, try something new. Why not? You got some time? Try something new. Maybe try a spin class, try a yoga class, try reading a book that you haven't read before. If you like fiction, maybe try nonfiction. Just something different, and or go back to things that you always used to love to do, but you just haven't had time to do them. That is something that is very refreshing, makes you feel good, and kind of makes you remember better times when life wasn't so busy. But take advantage of this week because you can definitely find some, uh, things to do that might help you refresh yourself a little bit, whether they're new or they're old things you haven't done in a while. Get done. Learn to eat better. This is probably the biggest one. This is my goal this week or this year, this rest of my life is um, if you read this article, there's this Nova food group classification, and it does pretty well for generalizing types of food. Nova 1 being unprocessed, minimally processed foods, fruits, vegetables, meats, things like that that are just natural. Like think about a tomato off the vine. That is number 1. Then you got the Nova 2. Um, contains some salt, some sugars, minimally processed foods. Think of it like maybe a sliced tomato on top of a salad with some balsamic vinegar or salt on it. Okay, that would be Nova 2. Nova 3 would process foods. So now you're talking about canned foods, special ingredients added to them, mashed up. So think about a tomato now, but now it's in a jar of marinara sauce. So does that count as a fruit serving or a vegetable serving, however you want to classify tomato? No. So it's Nova 3. So it's processed foods. Not horrible for you, something you don't want to keep all your food choices in that group. Nova 4 is ultra processed foods. Now this takes that tomato and now makes it ketchup, okay, where you got high fructose corn syrup in it and you name it, sugar and salt and all of the things that you've taken the tomato and it's still red. That's probably about the only thing left of the tomato, and now you've made ketchup out of it. So there's plenty of ultra processed foods. In fact, something that's so alarming when I was writing this article, Just did a little research, found a study that 60 to 75% of Americans choose most of their diet from Nova 4. So when you're wondering why, you know, 60 to 70% of Americans are obese or overweight, Nova 4 is doing it in our food choices. So that's cookies and juices and chips and soft breads and processed meats and condiments, ice cream, unfortunately. Now you can have a dessert, nothing wrong with that, but just don't make it dessert for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. When you go grab your coffee and you got 20 things in it, 500 calories, might want to take a look at that. All right. Food choices. That's probably my number one. Though I have it listed as number four in here. That is my number one go to this year is really address the types of food. Just be more, not that I eat poorly, it's just that I want to be in a situational awareness of food choices. So, because there's some mindless snacking that can occur in a day that just blows your calories in out of the water. So, drink more water. There's number 5. Um, let's see. Consider reading, writing more. There's another one. Heck, that's a really good one. Read a little, write a little, make to-do lists. All those things can make your life a little more efficient and relax you as well. Number 7, attitude of gratitude. This is a big one too. When you take a look back at your year, think of the things you're thankful for. Be grateful for those. When you're kind of pissed off, you have to go do something. Just simply turn that around with something like I like to use is, I don't have to be here. I get to be here. Right? If I was sick in the hospital and I couldn't do my normal daily routines that, are kind of sometimes boring and overwhelming and things I don't really want to do. If I was sick and all I was really worried about was getting well, I would be like saying, "Damn, I wish I could go do that." So you don't have to do this today. You get to do this today. Let that change your attitude about everything you do. That's number 7. That number attitude of gratitude. Number 8, and I stopped it at 8 just because I was going over 1,000 words. Instead of adding something new, quit something old. Instead of worrying about what can I do? What can I do? How about quitting a bad habit? That's a good one too. Whether that is too much caffeine, alcohol, nicotine, poor food choices, portion sizes. That's a big one for me. There are things that we should do less or eliminate from our lives, definitely. So find one of those. Now, here's the magic to making all of this work. Is I just listed 8 things. Don't go do all of them all at once. Pick one. This week, pick one thing, right? Maybe at the end of January, pick a second thing. Maybe end of February, pick a third thing. And then you take this goal of getting healthier and fitter and well rested and feeling better. Um, you can take that into the whole year and actually start accumulating these every month. You add a new one of these things up. Next thing you know, by the end of 2024, we're having this same conversation because I'll have it. You'll be a whole different person. I'm telling you. And you look back, it's like a blink. Right. So get on it. Start this week. All right. That's my 2 cents from you guys. Let me see what kind of questions we have over here. Let me see where you guys are. I'm not sure where my Instagram questions are. All right, so here we go. Questions. Do you also have to focus on portion size during Christmas dinner? Yeah, absolutely. I did. I mean, I had a I put a plate of salad. My dinner plate was nothing but salad. Had some apples, some mozzarella cheese, some romaine lettuce, and then I put turkey all over it. right? Wasn't like covered with turkey, but probably like 6, 7 pieces of turkey, So I had a turkey romaine salad for my first dish, right? By that time, I was kind of full, right? I didn't feel like adding the bigger helping of stuffing, so I had like a little salad plate of stuffing and some mashed potatoes and green beans and what else? Oh, had a little slice of cake, right? So I'm living a little, nothing crazy. I didn't walk out of there like exploded and full and felt like I needed to go take a nap. Um, so that was good. So yeah, portion control is huge, man. I think that's most of Americans' problems. Yeah, Nova class forward unprocessed foods is a big problem, but um, portion control, even if you're eating good, healthy food, can also put you over the edge a little bit. But I'd rather do that than have unprocessed foods, flushing through my bloodstream all day long. What's the longest you need to run to include in your training? Long as you need to run to. I'm not sure what you're asking there, Sebastian. Um, my personal training, I mean, we probably will run 6, 8 miles. Every now and then we'll get on a kick to maybe go do um, maybe go do a half marathon, maybe hit a 12 miler on there or something. But usually our personal training, we'll run or ruck, 6, 8, sometimes 10 miles. For us, that's kind of long distance for us. Let's see. Jackson says, "Merry Christmas, dude. Thought your article on strength standards for SOF was great. That said, what would you consider exceptionally strong for SOF selection?" Well, here's the deal. I mean, that's pretty good. You hit those numbers like 2 times your body weight on squats and deadlifts. That's really above average for spec ops selection. Most spec ops guys might be doing 1.5. Some may not be able to do 1.5 and they still make it through. They're just durable enough to handle, that kind of load. Um, so, you know, uh, I think that's plenty. If you can do body weight bench multiple times, you're pretty good there too. Let's see what's going on here. I can't find my live video questions for some reason. I don't know if I screwed up or um, closed the window or what. So anyway, I don't know. I don't see my comments coming up on Instagram from you guys, so I apologize if you guys want to send questions. My advice would be to go over to my YouTube channel, which is Stu50 Smith instead of Stu Smith 50, and send questions that way. Like I said, some reason I am not seeing the Instagram questions pop up. That could be my bad. Could be a window that I closed. Not quite sure. I definitely don't see you guys. So apologize. I'm going to keep on rolling though, like you are listening and hearing, but I just won't be able to see your questions. Um, so here we go. We got plenty of questions over here on YouTube though, so let's do it. Um, Kind of a random question. I currently training for a full-time SWAT team, but I have aspirations for National Guard SF. How should I balance combatives in the short long term? Combatives being Muay Thai, boxing, jiu-jitsu, very helpful for SWAT, but not ideal for prepping for SF as you can run the risk of injury. Yes, you can run the risk of injury doing those for sure, but you can run the risk of injury doing anything. My advice is this is if you are going for any SWAT selection or SF selection is I would say 4 to 6 months out from that selection, stop doing things that can potentially injure you. meaning lay off the combatives, don't go sparring, don't go kicking stuff. I can't tell you. In fact, we had a guy here that couldn't join the Navy because he cracked his shin doing Muay Thai. Another guy couldn't join the Navy for another 6 months because he broke his wrist. Another one just had shoulder surgery because he was wrestling, doing MMA stuff. It happens every year. And I tell people all the time, and this guy was like 2 months out from shipping out and blew out his shoulder just playing. I mean, just playing around, doing some sparring. So I get a little worked up on this one because I have seen people delay their selection or ship date. I've seen people get disqualified from military service, spec ops jobs completely because of shoulder dislocation, hip labrum tears in the hips, whatever reason. And it's not just from MMA stuff. It's from things like running a 100-mile race a couple of months before you check into buds. And then they couldn't run for the next 8 weeks because they blew out a hip or got knee tendonitis so bad that they couldn't run for another 2 months. Um, and one guy got disqualified, had to get hip surgery, right? So, and I always tell them, don't do it. You're gonna hurt yourself, right? So I'm not sure why you want to do that stuff that close to selection, but people do. Um, and unfortunately, I've even seen people. The third reason why you want to be a little more careful is people die. I've had guys that were competitive triathletes that got hit by a car and dislocated a shoulder. I've had a couple guys, well, not me personally, but a couple guys who were preparing for these type of jobs and died holding their breath, um, on their own somewhere, in a pool by themselves, doing 50-meter underwaters, passed out, dead. Another guy hit by a car, riding a bike, dead. That's that's heartbreaking. So take your last 6 months prior to any selection so seriously that you're focused on your recovery. You're not out drinking every night, partying with the boys. You're being healthy. Um, to have some discipline and not hurt yourself. Because any injury you take into this selection is going to be exposed in some way. You have an old shoulder injury from high school football, guess what? You get reminded about that thing with some log PT for a couple of hours. Promise you. So be smart. Tied to the above, we're going to continue this conversation. I think we just did that. Okay, last question from you, Jackson. For most elite runners you've trained, what did their backgrounds look like? And what did their weekly mileage look like? What pace did they run their miles at comfortably? Thanks. So, yeah, we've had a couple of, collegiate cross country type runners. I would consider them elite runners compared to our group because they could run sub 5 miles for multiple miles. The only thing is, they would be running like 80 miles a week, um, during their season, okay, during their training and all that stuff. But then whenever they came to me, I'd like stop running, not all the way. I mean, maybe cap it at like 30 miles a week for now. Just focus on your speed, focus on your pace. Don't run any more than 30 miles a week, maybe even 20 for a few months, just so you can go to the weight room and quit wasting 50 miles a week of running, spend that time in the weight room, learning how to swim, learning how to tread, all of those things that you're going to need to do and put on some mass because, you're 6 foot tall, 145 pounds. Yeah, you're a great runner, but you're weak, right? That is what happens with elite runners. Elite runners got no mass and they need mass because their durability is subject to being severely tested when they're under logs and under boats and under rucks and firemen carrying people. They just get hurt, right? And if they don't know how to swim, that's even more time. So for me, when I'm working with a guy who's anything elite, there's going to be a level of weakness that is so alarming that you have to completely change that person's activity level. So whether that guy is an elite lifter, guess what? Don't even go to the weight room, right? We need to get you doing calisthenics. We need to get you doing more cardio, running, rucking, swimming. Probably can't run that much because you're probably jacked, big, super heavy, got to lose some weight. So now let's try to get you, running without pain. So that's a progression that takes time. If you're a runner and just the opposite, you're going to be spending your time in the weight room. You're not going to be running 80 miles a week anymore. Where a lot of people go wrong when they're elite anything is they tend to double down on their strength and they ignore their weakness. And that comes with so much baggage that your weakness is going to be exposed near immediately whenever you get to your selection. So I'm impressed when I see somebody who's coming at the from the elite level. We've had professional athletes, we've had guys that were on Olympic teams and just incredibly great at whatever they did, but then they sucked equally at other things. So, and that took probably a year just to get good at what they've been ignoring all their life. That's a great conversation. I've written a lot about that. So if you Google the terms strengths and weaknesses will be exposed, you'll see some good articles on that. Put my name in the search and you'll see a lot because that's a really good topic to have. And a lot of people ignore it thinking, hey, I've done this in college. I'm really good at it. Yeah, you're going to be great. You might run a 25-minute 4 mile or faster, when you're at Buds with boots and pants on the beach. But, if you can't do the O course because you don't have any grip or strength or you get crushed on the log and break your back, that's on you. Preparation. You said drink more water. Is that water specifically or get more fluids like milk, etc.? Yeah, no, milk isn't a bad idea. If you're not, as long as you're tolerant to it. Um, I would count milk as water. I'd count what I'm drinking right now. Unsweet iced tea is water. It's got a little bit of caffeine in it, but it's mostly water, just a little flavored. But you need to drink some water without the caffeine, without the extra sugar, just some water. So makes a difference. Stu, you started your winter lift cycle after your phase one? Oh, you did. Okay. We just started our winter lift cycle today. Doing most of the lifts in the gym. What should I do about the miles you have in between the lifts? That's up to you. If you want to run over to the treadmill and get your miles in between, because the way I have these set up is, yeah, you're going to do some benching and stuff, but then you're going to go run a mile or bike 10 minutes, just to get some cardio up, just to stay warm for the next part of the lift. So it's not your normal strength cycle because the goal of these type of strength cycles that we do here, with the seasonal tactical fitness periodization is, we're trying to maintain, you know, this is our summer cycle, it's that in reverse. We're trying to maintain a little bit of calisthenics and cardio so we don't have to rebuild that during the winter lift cycle. So we focus on lifting, we run a little less, we PT a little less with calisthenics, but we're maintaining, right? We're still testing it out. And every fourth week, we take a little deload from the lift and we'll do cows and cardio. So that's a really good week to kind of rebuild on the cows and cardio, but also deload from the lifting, come back a little stronger the next week. But you've also maintained, maybe even improved your calisthenics and cardio. This does it in reverse. This takes 3 weeks of cows and cardio because we're focusing on a progression in the summer of running and high rep cows. endurance, muscle stamina. But every fourth week, we take a little deload from it, drop the mileage a little, hit some lifts in there to maintain our strength from the winter. So you're constantly in this cycle of, yeah, we're focusing on strength, but we're maintaining our endurance. Yeah, we're focusing on our endurance, but we're maintaining our strength. That way you can actually see growth in one of them, maintain the other. Sometimes, if you do it right with that block periodization model, you can actually see growth in the one that you're trying to maintain. So, something that we came up with a few years ago with our winter lift cycle was, we actually improved in cows and cardio. Our run times got better. Even though we were running less, we were running faster. Our calisthenics maintained or sometimes improved. Some of the push-ups and pull-ups improved a little bit because we were adding, weighted pulls, and we were adding, weighted push. Um, that got a little better for some of the guys. Nobody got worse, which was a really good strength cycle. Most guys put on 10 pounds of mass, which is what they were trying to do, and maintained all their strength and muscle stamina numbers. So, that model works really well for that, but it's not your typical strength cycle. I grew up with a typical strength cycle back in the day, and it was, I walk into the gym, do 25 reps of bench, and I was done for chest, right? And then I did maybe did some pull or something, heavy rows and things like that. But it was a different goal back then when I was just trying to put on mass and get super strong. Whereas this is, yeah, you want to add some strength, but you're not trying to bench press a truck. You got your body weight. How many times can you do it? That's a good thing. If you can get that double digits, maybe 15 to 20, even better. That's a good level of strength and stamina kind of mixed together on a different level than just 2-minute push up tests. Same thing for squats and deadlifts and things like that. All right, let's see. Saw your routine to strengthen lower back and core. That circuit includes push-ups. Is that good to do daily? Um, there's nothing wrong with, very low volume calisthenics every day. And what I mean by that is, 10, 15 pull-ups, 20 or so push-ups, a few times a day. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just when you start getting higher volume, you need that day off in between. So, for instance, today everybody was doing, we probably did 100 plus pull ups today in a workout. We also did rows, we did bicep curls. That alone needs a couple of days before you do it again, right? Even if we weren't doing any weights, if we're doing 100 plus pull-ups, you don't want to do that every day. That's going to create some tendonitis. It's going to create some bad shoulders and elbow pains, and muscle tiredness. You're going to see negative results. So yes, it's okay to do some, use them as kind of like a warm up to the day, or a cool down to the day. That's fine too, because they're really just dynamic stretches if you really think about it. As long as you keep the volume low, that is fine. When I see people, that are 75 years old, they wake up and they do 50 push-ups every day. Hey man, that's awesome. Keep at it. All right. What are the longest distance swims you train? We get up to 4,000 meters swimming. I take that back. We've done a few 5K swims. Um, but those are kind of special. They're not necessarily something we do all the time. I would say every day is at least 1,500 to 2,000 when we swim, either with fins or without fins, 5 times a week. So at the end of the week, you've probably done about 10,000 meters of swimming. Um, and that's a good amount. At Buds, you're only going to do about 4,000 a week of swimming once you're done with prep and um, post Hell Week. You're going to do a little bit of swimming pre Hell Week, but it's mostly pool skills that are getting tested: drown proofing, life saving, underwater swims. There's some swim workouts that also go with that, But your test at Buds is really only once a week with a pair of fins on, swimming 2 miles in the ocean, which is 4,000 yards. Yes, there's a time in third phase. Yeah, third phase. We did it in second phase. I think they do it in third phase now, where you do a 5 mile, 5 nautical mile swim, which is 10,000 yards. So basically a 10K in the water with fins. And that's really nothing you have to train for. By that time, you're like, I just got to swim a little longer. It's not that big a deal. Hey, Stu, prior to shipping to boot, where do you want to be in your training? What I mean is like a bell curve. Should I be at the top and use boot camp as a taper? Yes, I have stated that, I don't know, for the last 20 years, hundreds of times. Go to boot camp maxed out. Use boot camp as your taper, especially if you're Navy boot camp, because Navy boot camp or Air Force boot camp is going to be a decrease in your physical activity to the point where it's a deconditioning. You're going to get quote unquote out of shape at Navy and Air Force boot camps. Now, if you're going Army and Green or Marine Corps, you don't necessarily want to be maxed out on that one. You want to be good and maybe tape, at a nice steady plateau, but not necessarily peaked out. Come a peak, come down just a little bit, because those are going to be a little more physically demanding of you, um, versus the Navy and Air Force. So it really kind of depends on what you are preparing to do. Did you ever train neck shoulder strength before you took the PST for Buds? Yeah, I mean, for years. Uh, Powerlifting, overhead press, push presses, clean and jerks. That's stuff I did as a power lifter. Necks, I was a football player, I was a wrestler. So yeah, you're doing all kinds of neck stuff. So I do have an article out there that is called preparing, let me see, preparing head, neck for like boats and logs. Let me see if I can find that thing. Yeah, building neck strength for running boats. Check out this article. I'm just going to put this in the comment section over here at YouTube and Facebook. You guys should pick it up over there too. Not sure about Instagram still. Still can't find you guys. So terribly sorry if I missed you. I'm looking all over for it on my Instagram page, and I can't find where my live stream is going. So I don't want to shut out that window because I'm afraid it's gone. So I can't even tell if it's going on over there. If it is, let me know. Send me a let me see if I got it on my phone. Nope. I don't see any live going on. Hmm. That is a bummer. Oh well. Must have screwed up something. All right. Let's take some more questions. I'm stuck at 10 pull-ups. I'm thinking about using Recon Ron pull-up method. Do you think that's a good idea? Or Grease the Groove? I think they're all great options. You know, you don't really know until you do it. I have another one that I do called my pull-up push. It's a 2-week protocol. In fact, you can read about it right here. I'm going to put that link right here and give it a shot. You know, the thing is, when you're doing daily anything at a high volume, you're not going to last long. So mine only lasts for 10 days, and then you take 3 days off and you test on day 14. I've been doing that since the 90s with people, and I have seen people double their push-ups and double their pull-ups. Now, let me make sure you understand what I'm saying. Somebody at 20 push-ups to double to 40, not that hard. Somebody going from 6 pull-ups and go to 12, not that hard, but very good in a 2-week period. Now, if you're at 15 pull-ups and thinking about doing a thing of daily pull-ups, I don't recommend it because chances are you're not going to get 30. You're not going to double your pull-ups. You might increase by 50%, which would put you over 20, which is still pretty good. So, um, have some expectations when you read on there. I've had people double their pull-ups. Yeah, but single digits to the teens is a lot easier than going from teens to 20s. You might need a little more time and you might need another program. And that's where I put in there, you got to try the max rep set program. Like try for 100 pull ups, 200 push ups, 300 sit ups in as few sets as possible. And do that once a week. Now, the other two workouts of upper body that you do in the week aren't like that. They can be sub max stuff, they can be pyramids, they can be something else. But if you're in the mid teens, I don't recommend a daily push up, pull up regimen, or I don't recommend a pull up regimen. If you're in the 70s on push ups, I don't recommend a daily push up regimen to get better. I would recommend bigger set workouts to get better, fewer days a week, like every other day max. Maybe give yourself 2 days rest before you do it again. Maybe do it on a Wednesday and then a Saturday, for instance. But if you read that article, I explain it all. But those other two methods are great too. There's so many different ways to do this. And I tell people all the time, I don't have the only way, I have a way to do it. And you need to find which way works for you. And I'm perfectly happy when I hear people say, "Hey, I did Recon Ron's pull-ups and I got up to 20." I'm like, "Good job, dude. Nice work." I don't care which one you pick, as long as you're seeing results, good for you. Um, what are something to consider if I like one branch better than the other? I like the jobs more in the branch I like less. Um, I don't know. That's such a generalized question. Um, my advice for you is um you may find that the job that you do in a branch you like less is going to be equally as fulfilling as a job, or maybe even more fulfilling in a branch you like more in a job you like less. So you never know, though. There's so many crisscross jobs in the military. In fact, if you look at all the MOSs or all the rates, depending on what branch you're going in, you know, there's there, there's the same things in all four branches for many of the jobs. Whether you're a mechanic, they need mechanics in all four, five branches of service. They need crypto guys and they need comms guys and IT guys, and the special ops are very similar as well. So, um, not sure what to tell you. That's a tough one. What I did. Be honest with you, when I decided to go Navy versus Army, because I had an opportunity to go to West Point or Naval Academy when I was in my teens, is I looked where I would be living when I got out, because I knew I could still be a pilot. I wanted to be a pilot when I was a teenager, and I knew I could be a pilot in the Army. I knew I could be a pilot in the Navy. I was leaning more towards Navy just because they have more planes, more cool planes. Um, but I liked helicopters too. I didn't really differentiate between what type of pilot I wanted to be. I just knew I wanted to be one. Um, and I looked where they would be stationed after I would graduate, pilot training or whatever. And I saw that, every Navy town is a beach town. I grew up in Florida, love the beach, love the water. Should have recognized then that might have been something I should probably consider. Um, and you know, just chose Navy simply because where they were stationed. throughout the United States and the world. And everybody in my family was Army, so I think being a stubborn 18-year-old that wanted to do my own thing, probably with a little bit of rebelliousness to do that. All right, so let's do this. I haven't usually Tuesday are my days where I do um what you call it? CSS critiques. So let's share some CSS here. So I'm going to go um share my screen. And we're going to show you not sure which one I'm showing you here on this one, but we're
There you go. Top,
I'll
bottom,
turn down.
kick. Hold that glide. Let's see.
Okay, volume down. All right, so we're going right to the CSS. So this is a good one. I like this one. This is a new one I took today. We got to work on a little more of this breaststroke pullout. He's got long arms. Probably need to work a little more on that freestyle catch. Grab a little more water, go a little deeper with that, called the freestyle catch. I was watching this today. I was like, yeah, we could get a little better with the freestyle catch here. But this is really good. It just took him about 7 strokes to get across the pool, and he did that in 23, 24 seconds, 25. Good turnaround this time. I think last time we were working on his turnaround, took like 4 seconds. So top arm, bottom arm kick, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi pull. Good. Yeah, I think we could pull a little harder with that top arm. He'd be even faster. So at the end of this, I noticed he is right at that 50, 51. Yeah, 51 seconds, somewhere around there, which is pretty good. And, so he's gotten his stroke to a point where he can do a 50-second 50, and it's relatively efficient. Like, it's not super efficient. I think he's at 7 strokes, which I like to be somewhere between 5 and 7. So he's on the high end of my efficiency range. If you can do it in less than 5 strokes, you're probably a competitive swimmer already, or you're just really streamlined out. But that's not bad. I think, yeah, we could pull a little harder, be a little tighter on the streamline, lock those arms out, biceps on your face, and see how that works. But let me show you this. Now, this is the difference of learning the technique and getting in shape to maintain that technique. Because I want to show you what he did in the second section of this. Oh, I forgot to close this one out. All right, so I think I showed this one. Okay, yeah, this is it.
All right.
So you guys can
here
see
is
this,
your.
right? He's swimming freestyle.
This
All
is
right,
really
so he's
good, man.
swimming
You're going
freestyle
skip
right
breathing
now.
2, 3, 4, 5.
And my goal of him swimming freestyle is just get tired, get winded. And he really does that because he's pushing. I think he's doing some skip breathing, maybe going 5, 6, 7 strokes per breath. My goal is him to get winded here. Not a bad freestyle, but I'm just using it to get tired. Now watch what happens when he kicks off this wall and goes into his breaststroke pullout. Notice what he does. All right, so he skipped the breaststroke pullout. He came up, not bad though. He came up a little bit earlier than he should have, but he starts adding strokes here because he's tired, right? Top arm, bottom arm kick. I think at 150, I'm not sure if it's this one or another one, I counted him at like 11 strokes to get across the pool, and he did the previous 25, without being tired in 7. So he added 4 strokes to get across the pool. So he's added 2 already when he came up here at this marker. So he's not kicking off very far. So this is just an indicator that he is not in swimming shape because I got him tired and with a 50 free, and now he's like really blowing up his CSS. Doesn't look bad as far as technique, but it's just not as efficient as it was. So he started this freestyle ended freestyle at like 40 seconds and finished at a minute 40. So his first 50 that he did fresh was 50 seconds. His second one he did after this 50 free took him a minute, right? So all that is telling me is that we need to work on his conditioning. And that great way to work on his conditioning is the 50-50, right? If you haven't seen the 50-50 swim workout yet, I'm not sure what rock you're living under, but it's out there. It's helping people. I've uh seen people go from where was it? Like a 10-minute 500 to an 8-minute 500 in about 3 to 4 weeks. Probably the best one I've seen so far is 3 to 4 weeks. Drop 2 minutes on their 500 in a month just by doing this 50-50, and they did it 5 times a week. And what they noticed is that they could, when they first started, like this guy, he needed like 30 seconds rest in between each set. And that's a long time to rest when you're doing swim workouts. But if you're not in shape, you need it. And then it drops to 20, and then it drops to 15. Next thing you know, you're able to rest by taking 2 big breaths, inhales, exhales, one big inhale, you're ready to go again, right? So that's what I'm trying to build up to is fewer rest periods, shorter rest periods, when you're doing that 50-50 workout. Then once you see that, you'll be surprised in what a week does. I mean, you probably drop 15-second rest periods and maintain your pace a little bit better just within a week, maybe 2 weeks. Then next thing you know, you test yourself on a 500, boom, you're dropping below 9, within the first couple of weeks. All right. So to achieve 10 pull-ups, I use the fighter pull-up, but I feel that I can't progress anymore. That's why I'm in doubt. I would use the recon Ron or fighter pull-up again with a weighted vest. You know what? That's a great idea too. If you're at 10 pull-ups, try the 2-week protocol. It's 10 days of basically 50 pull-ups a day. Now, on your regular upper body days, you can do more than 50, but you don't have to add 50 pull-ups to your day if you are doing that 10-day routine. It's basically you're adding 50 pull-ups to days you don't do pull-ups. Um, you know, like a leg day or a cardio day, you have to add 50 pull-ups to that day. And you do it for 10 straight days, take 3 days off, test on day 14, see what happens. Read that article, explains it, gives you a little chart, go from there. How would you compare conditioning cardio between swimming with and swimming without? Good question. Um, they're very similar. However, the pain in your legs is bigger with fins. And your ankles have to get used to swimming with fins. Your hips have to get used to it. Um, that's why we do it on leg days. It's a really great way to top off a leg day. I don't like to swim with fins every day. I've seen people who are running a lot and swimming with fins a lot get some shin knee issues like IT band flare ups. So you definitely would want to limit your fin swimming to uh, like how many days you do legs. We usually swim with fins 2 times a week. Sometimes when we add in like a spec ops triathlon, when we run, swim, ruck combo for a workout in itself, we'll add swimming with fins on that one. But 2 to 3 times a week is going to get you where your legs need to be. What's really amazing is that people show up at prep having never swum with fins on before, you know, and I'm like, damn. I mean, maybe they're good enough to be able to learn how to do that and get their ankles that loose in the time that they finish prep and are doing okay. But we're swimming with fins every leg day, so and we don't skip leg day, so we're at least doing it twice a week. sometimes 3. I've been battling left shoulder pain for some time now. After push-ups, my left shoulder is on fire. Ooh, that's not good. Do you have any books that deal with mobility rehab or anything like that? No, all my books have mobility in there. Nothing really about rehab, unless you consider the lightweight shoulder workout that I learned from physical therapists as rehab. I do not address that type of stuff. My advice is don't follow a book. Go see a professional that can, do a couple of arm tests on you, physical therapist, just to see what muscle in the shoulder is actually causing you problems. Is it a rotator cuff muscle? Is it a deltoid? Is it a bicep tendon that runs up under there? So many different issues that, it could be that, you need to get some professional assistance on that. So there you go. You should talk about your wall on another live stream and share some of those things that came from. Well, Justin, I'm happy to do that right now. Um, Everything you see behind me is largely a gift from students. So the 2 paddles directly behind me are gifts from students that, finished SQT. The This right here is my class crest. These 2 over here are my diplomas and commissioning. That's my buds class right there. These are just a whole bunch of coins that I collect. Uh, let's see what we got here. This right here is FBI HRT um, poster one of my students gave me. This was here as a gift as a student gave me. It's just basically a map of everywhere we train. Really cool picture. Secret Service up here. Um, let's see, painting of guys getting through the surf zone. That was a gift. The things on the very top are mine. Just plaques for the team. This right here, never quit thing. Somebody gave me that as a gift. 2 more paddles over here. One of them's my paddle, and one of them's another gift. And then there's another picture of my platoon down here. So yeah, got all kinds of stuff back there, but most of them are gifts. So I'm very proud of them. Um, the fact that people are thoughtful enough to send me a gift paddle just to say thanks for helping them prepare is, yeah, I don't think you could ask for much more as a coach. Just someone appreciating, your the journey that they took and being a part of that journey. I'm always happy to be a part of. So let's see, John, Stu, did you see they are now accepting E6s as fleet returnees to buds? Would you say that is a sign that they are in need of candidates, fleet returnees? Um, no, I mean, when I was there, we accepted E6s. Um, I think it, and it wasn't a need for fleet returnees necessarily, but I think it's good for the buds classes to have some senior enlisted guys in there. Um, I was very grateful for our LPO who was an E5. He was a Navy diver, came over as an E5 and went through buds, and he was awesome. I mean, 90% of the things that we did as a class, all I had to do was say, "Hey, here's what we got to do." And then he would get it done with the enlisted guys and make sure they had all their stuff ready to go on time. And he just ran the class really well on that micro level. And then basically all I did as kind of the class leader was just screen them from the to-do list that the instructors gave. Like I would take all that information and then just pass it out, and we just broke it up like that, and it was a really good relationship. Still friends today, so yeah, that's I like it. I think the more mature enlisted guy that you can get there, the better. I think we have way too many 17, 18-year-olds that try to go to buds. And for the first 6 weeks, it's just way too many people in the class. By Hell Week, there's hardly any teenagers left. It's kind of cruel to, mean to say that, but a lot of people just underprepared and not really mature enough or physically prepared enough to do that. And they just haven't been training properly. I always tell people don't be in a hurry to join buds. You have a window between 17 and 29, right? There's no rule saying that you got to do it right after high school. So the more mature enlisted guys there, the better. 100%. For seasonal periodization programs for non-impact cardio substitutions included, or are they? And for the lifts, are the weights prescribed? Um, no, the reps are prescribed for the weights. So when I say do 10 reps of something, that means you need to pick a weight that you can do 10 times, but you can't do 20 times, right? Does that make sense? You want to be able to, let's say if you were failing at 12, that's perfect, but you can do it 10. So that's going to be some hit or miss cycles for you, to figure out what weights are yours. Because I could say, hey, start off at 200 pounds on the bench. Well, guess what? Most people can't do that. And, they need to be at 95 pounds or 135, right? Same for squats and deadlifts. Are non impact cardio substitutions included? There are. Yes and no. Sometimes I will say run or bike. Sometimes I will do that. Sometimes I don't. And I might say run 3 miles. Well, guess what? If you have shin splints, don't run 3 miles. Don't be stupid. Replace that 3 mile run with a 20-minute bike. So I usually say this: for every mile of running that you have to substitute, replace with 10 minutes of some form of non impact cardio. That may mean extra swimming, especially if you suck at swimming, add extra swimming. If it's, you just need less impact because your shins are bothering you, get on a bike and hit it hard. And what kind of intensity on the bike? Push it. Tabata intervals are great, pyramids are great, but you want to get your heart rate to where you would be when you're running. You don't want to go like for a bike ride, like you're just, sipping on a soda somewhere, riding a bike in a park, right? You want to be putting out on the bike. So, um, there you go. Here's another question here. I forgot about the helmet. Yeah, that's my Buds class, 182. Well, red helmet is third phase. You got three phases at Buds. You got first phase is green, second phase, die phase is blue, and land warfare phase is red. You graduate with a red helmet. You don't graduate with a green helmet. In fact, you want to do everything you can to change the color of your helmet from green to blue to red. Right? You'll find out that die phase is just as hard as first phase. It's just hard. Plus, you're learning tactics and learning how to dive. And third phase is just as hard as die phase. You're learning new tactics. So there you go. Hey, man, we've been at this for almost an hour. For you guys that were on Instagram, I hope you guys are still there. I'll try to see if I can find you guys. If you guys haven't, in fact, let me share this with you. If you guys haven't checked out this, if you guys haven't checked out my TikTok page, you don't have to have a TikTok app on your page. Just go to tiktok.com at StuSmith50, and you guys can see it is nothing but CSS critiques, right? I mean, dozens of every issue you can imagine that is possible with doing poorly on the CSS. We've figured out a remedy to it and worked it out, right? I even show the 50-50 on some workouts too. So, yeah, you guys check out TikTok, Stu Smith 50. Especially if you're looking for combat swimmer stroke critique stuff, because it's right there. And if you don't want it on your app, just go on your desktop, TikTok.com/@StuSmith50. Next thing you know, you got access to a whole bunch of CSS critiques right there in your hand. You can also go to the Instagram Reels as well, StuSmith50, same address as TikTok, and um, see a ton of useful information for you. And it's free. Send me a video. I'm happy to critique it. Can't go wrong with it. Can't argue with the price on that one, huh? All right, so here's the deal. If I missed your question, and I feel like I missed a whole bunch of Instagram questions, if I did, I apologize. Email me, stu@stusmith.com. Let me know, hey, we could see you, but I could not see you. Um, you asked this question on Instagram. I'm just curious, like if you guys on Instagram even saw me. Um, but anyway, stu@stusmith.com. Send me a question. Happy to answer it. In fact, I'm looking for ideas for another article that I have to write tomorrow. This is my Ask Stu option. In fact, I may use one of these that I just read off earlier because some of these were really good. I appreciate that. But if you go to stusmithfitness.com, you'll see a whole bunch of articles, ebooks, books, programs in there too, coaching, and you can use the Live15 coupon code, save yourself 15% off anything over there. All right, folks. I will catch you later. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a second one this week. I usually do these on Monday, Tuesday at 9:30. However, this week with Christmas, I was unable to do that. We'll definitely do one on New Year's Day. That's not so much a holiday for me, and we'll get stuff done. But yeah, maybe just once this week. If I do something, I may have another podcast I do with a couple of folks that I'll post up here later. All right, folks. Until next week, you guys have a good one.